Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a book today that I just know you're going to love. It's called Miracles of the Namiya General Store.
It's by Kaigo Higashino, and it's a real page-turner.
It really is. It's got this magical realism thing going on. Have you ever read anything quite like it?
Not really. I mean, the premise is so unique. An abandoned general store that connects people through time via letters. It's mind-blowing.
Right. Okay, so we start with these three young guys, Atsuya, Shota, and Kohei.
Yeah, they're hiding out in the store thinking they've found the perfect escape. Classic, right?
Totally. But things take a turn when they get a letter from a woman who calls herself Moon Rabbit.
And Moon Rabbit's dealing with a seriously heavy situation.
She's an Olympic athlete, like her dreams are right there. But her boyfriend is, well, he's terminally ill.
Tough spot. You can just feel the turmoil in her letters, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, how do you choose between your dreams and the person you love?
Exactly. And these three guys, who are initially pretty skeptical, well, they find themselves drawn into her story.
It's like they can't help but get invested in Moon Rabbit's dilemma.
Yeah, and their reactions are interesting. Kohei, he's the sensitive one, right? He really dives in, wants to help her.
And he stresses, like, honest communication, talking to her boyfriend, her family, everyone.
Which, let's be honest, that's good advice in any situation.
Totally. But get this, Moon Rabbit actually receives their response.
Whoa, so the letters are traveling through time.
That's what it seems like. It's like, boom, time travel communication, and it doesn't stop there.
Oh, no. Who's next?
Another letter pops up. This time it's from Katsuro, a struggling musician.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Torn between his dreams and his family's failing fish shop.
Exactly. He's poured his heart and soul into his music, but success, it's just elusive, you know?
And then you've got his family pressuring him to come back home, take over the business.
Talk about a rock at a hard place. Yeah. So he turns to the Namiya General Store, desperate for some guidance.
And the response he gets, let's just say it's blunt, like brutally honest.
Yeah, the writer basically tells him to stop kidding himself, that he doesn't have what it takes to make it big.
Ouch, that's gonna sting. But here's the thing. Katsuro actually takes it to heart.
I know, right? You'd think he'd just dismiss it, but instead it forces him to confront his own doubts.
It's a turning point for him. All this self-doubt plus the situation at home, it leads him to a big decision.
He decides to go back home, but he doesn't completely give up on his music.
A compromise. He makes a deal with his father, 1 year to make his music career happen.
If it doesn't work out, he's all in on the fish shop. It's a big gamble.
And you know what? This decision sets off a chain reaction that connects him to other people who've written to the store. It's wild.
It's like this store is some kind of, I don't know, like a cosmic crossroads.
Bringing people together across time in the most unexpected ways.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. We go back in time before Atsuya and the others even arrived at the store.
And we meet a single mother, Midori, struggling, facing eviction, unsure how to provide for her child.
Desperate times. She writes to the store, hoping for some kind of miracle.
And Yuji, the store owner, he responds. But it's a tough message. He warns her about the immense responsibility of parenthood.
Yeah, he tells her if she's not prepared for any hardship, she shouldn't bring a child into the world.
Wow, serious stuff.
I know. But sadly, tragedy strikes. Midori and her baby are in a car accident.
Oh no, what happened?
Midori doesn't make it, but her baby is found alive near the wreckage. It's a miracle.
Oh my gosh, so her daughter survives.
She does. And years later, she discovers Yuji's letter to her mother. Imagine that.
Wow, that's heavy. Learning about your mother's struggle, the advice she sought, knowing it all led to this.
It really makes you wonder about fate, you know, like, was her life meant to be spared?
Definitely makes you think.
And here's where the pieces start to come together. Midori's daughter was raised at an orphanage called Maramitsuin.
Wait, Maramitsuin, isn't that the same orphanage where Moon Rabbit's brother was saved from that fire?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a connection. Yeah. And it gets even crazier.
Tell me.
The musician who saved Moon Rabbit's brother, it was Katsuro.
No way. Katsuro, the guy who was just questioning his entire talent.
The one and only. It's like a full circle moment. This guy, seeking escape, ends up playing a huge role in these people's lives without even knowing it.
Talk about interconnectedness.
It gives me chills, seriously. Like his act of heroism, it was meant to be.
It shows you our choices, they have ripple effects. We might not even realize the impact we have on others.
It's mind-blowing. Everything's linked in ways we can't even imagine. And as we head into the final part of this story, things get even more intense.
I can't wait to hear what happens next. It's crazy to think about all these connections, right? Like these characters' lives are all intertwined.
I know. It's like Higashino is showing us this web of human experience. And as we keep going, we find even more threads in that web. Remember all those letters addressed to Yuji from the future?
Yeah, the ones his great-grandson, Shingo, found.
Right. It's like a time capsule of wisdom. And in one of those letters, we meet someone who calls himself Green River.
Green River. What's their story?
Well, they're dealing with this really deep family issue. The parents divorced when they were young, and they've held this resentment towards their father for leaving.
That's tough. Lots of people can relate to that, you know. Family stuff can be hard.
Totally. And Green River is carrying this weight, this anger, this feeling of abandonment.
So they reach out to Yuji for advice.
Yeah, hoping for some guidance, some way to move forward.
What does Yuji say?
Well, he's super understanding, as always. He acknowledges their pain, but he also encourages them to try and see things from their father's side.
To understand, even if you can't forgive.
Exactly. He's like, hey, there might be things you don't know, reasons you don't understand.
It's like he's saying, don't judge, just try to see the whole picture.
And it seems like Green River took that advice to heart. Years later, they write another letter to the store. This time, it's filled with gratitude. They actually reconnected with their father and started to rebuild their relationship.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like Yuji's words, they had this ripple effect, you know?
Yeah.
Leading to healing and forgiveness.
I know, it's really powerful. Even after Yuji's death, his kindness continues to touch lives.
It's proof that empathy can be so transformative. Oh, speaking of which, there's another letter that arrives that night, one that adds even more layers to this crazy interconnected story.
Ooh, you're talking about Lost Kitten, right? The young woman who's totally lost about her future.
Yeah, her. She's at this crossroads, overwhelmed by all the choices, terrified of making the wrong one.
Like so many of us, that fear of messing up your life, taking the wrong path.
Totally. And Lost Kitten, she's not really asking for specific advice. She's more looking for reassurance, for hope.
And guess who responds to her letter?
Don't tell me. It's Atsuya, Shota, and Kohei, isn't it?
You got it. They're still in the store, 32 years in the past.
Wow, they're really thrown into the deep end with all this advice giving, huh?
They are. And after that whole thing with Dubious Doggy, they're definitely more aware of the weight of their words.
Yeah, they're starting to realize that giving advice isn't just a game. It can have serious consequences.
So what do they tell Lost Kitten?
Well, they actually take a different approach this time. They encourage her to trust her gut, to embrace the uncertainty.
To realize there's no one right path, you know? That sometimes the wrong turns lead to the best adventures.
I love that. It's so freeing, so empowering.
And you know what? Lost Kitten. She takes their advice. Years later, she writes back, thanking them.
Seriously, she got their response too.
Yep. Time travel mail, remember. She tells them that she took a chance, followed a path less traveled, and it led her to a happy, fulfilling life.
That's incredible. It shows that sometimes a little encouragement is all it takes to change someone's life. And get this, there's a twist.
Oh, I love twists. What is it?
Lost Kitten is actually connected to another character in the story. Remember the orphanage, Marumitsun, where Moonrabbit's brother and Midori's daughter were both raised?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, Lost Kitten grows up and becomes this successful businesswoman, and guess what she does?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
She dedicates her life to supporting Marumitsun, making sure it stays open, giving all these kids a safe place.
No way. So the advice that Tsuya, Shota, and Kohei gave her, it didn't just change her life, it helped all those kids at the orphanage.
It's mind-blowing, you see. These ripples, they spread out further than we can even imagine.
It's like everything's connected, even across time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this all wraps up in the final part.
It all comes together so beautifully, doesn't it? Every little detail, every letter, it all adds up to this incredible story of human connection.
It really does. And I'm excited to see what happens to Atsuya, Shota, and Kohei. They've come a long way since that first letter from Moonrabbit.
Oh yeah, they've definitely had a crash course in empathy and responsibility.
Big time. So as their night in the Namiya General Store comes to a close, they get one final letter.
Oh. What kind of letter?
This one's signed Grateful.
Grateful? Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, Grateful explains. They wrote to the store years ago during a really tough time in their life. They were feeling lost, hopeless, didn't know where to turn.
Oh, wow. So they were really struggling.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And we don't get all the details about the advice they received, but Grateful says it gave them the strength to keep going.
That's powerful. Just knowing someone's listening, that someone believes in you, it can make a world of difference.
Totally. And grateful goes on to say they were able to turn their life around. They built a good life, overcame those challenges. They credit the Namiya General Store with giving them the hope they needed.
That's amazing. It's like Yuji's legacy. It lives on through these letters, even after he's gone.
And get this, Grateful has been following the story of the store all these years, reading about it in the news, learning about the people who've been touched by its magic.
Wow, they're like a dedicated fan, keeping up with all the Namiya General Store happenings.
Right. And they felt compelled to write this final letter to thank Yuji and everyone who's kept his spirit alive.
That's so sweet. A thank you note to the universe for all the kindness that's been spread.
And they actually address Atsuya, Shota, and Kohei in the letter. They commend them for taking on the role of advice givers, even though they're dealing with their own problems.
That's got to be a good feeling, to know that they actually helped someone, even if it felt like they were just winging it.
For sure. It shows how we can all make a difference, even when we don't realize it. And as the sun starts to rise, Atsuya, Shota, and Kohei, they decide to leave one last letter in the mailbox.
A final message. What do they say?
They talk about their own struggles, their doubts, their journey, but they also talk about the power of human connection, the importance of kindness and compassion.
It's like they're passing the baton, right? Inspiring others to carry on the legacy of the Namiya General Store.
Exactly. And as they leave the store, step back into the world, you can tell they've changed. They're not the same guys who broke in that night.
They've grown, haven't they? They've learned so much about themselves, about life, about the impact we have on each other.
Absolutely. And the story ends there, leaving us to wonder what happens to them next.
But I think it's safe to say, that night in the Namiya General Store, it changed them forever.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope. That even the smallest acts of kindness can ripple out and touch countless lives. And that's the magic of Miracles of the Namiya General Store. It's a story that sticks with you, makes you think about the connections we all share, the impact we have on each other.
It really does. And I think it encourages us all to be a little kinder, a little more understanding, to maybe take a chance on someone, offer a helping hand. You never know what kind of miracle you might spark.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a book that will warm your heart and stay with you long after you finish it, Miracles of the Namiya General Store is definitely worth checking out.
It's a real gem. And hey, maybe it'll even inspire you to write your own letter to the Namiya General Store. You never know who might be listening.
And that's our deep dive into the world of Miracles of the Namiya General Store. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, happy reading.